And I just turned around and I hauled ass out of there. I was done. I wasn't dealing with that.
The hypocrisy of the cult is one of the things that turned me away the quickest.
When I turned my headlights on, it turned and looked at us. And one of the things I remember the most were the eyes were glowing red.
I see an orb of light. It is just circling these steps like it is waiting for me.
And he begins to tell them that he saw a UFO. They're basically like, what are you talking about? That's 7 foot up on a tree, peeking around it, and that's where I saw the top of the muzzle, nose, and the eyes. As soon as I made eye contact with this thing, it felt like death.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tinfoil Tales After Dark. I'm your host, Brandon. Tonight we're going to be joined by my guest, Jesse. He's going to come on here and talk a little bit about some of the things he's experienced. But before we bring Jesse on, I have a fellow podcaster that I'm going to bring on here with me here in a second. From the Caffeinated Cryptid. Welcome, Bob, to the stage. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on?
Not
Thanks
much.
for having me on here. Kind of fired up. Got my coffee ready. Let's get cranking.
Yeah. So, you want to let the audience know a little bit about yourself, your podcast, and
I would love
everything?
to. You got a crowd in here already, I see. Yeah, I'm Bobby Dizzle, the Caffeinated Cryptid. I started off just like everybody, like I call it your mom's basement podcast, where I had like anybody on here that did anything, and slowly realized that the only people I could get to talk to me were Bigfoot, UFO, kind of paleontologists, a lot of ghost people. And so I changed the name, and I like to drink coffee and talk about Bigfoot. So here I am, the Caffeinated Cryptid.
Yeah.
Get pretty woo-woo sometimes, but I've tried to get more scientists on lately, and it seems to be more fun. Try to get anthropologists and biologists, because I started getting criticized by people, like this is just cookie cutter woo-woo crap. And I'm like, well, I guess change that a little bit. And I think it's worked out, but I still just talk a lot of smack on the podcast. I'm a podcaster at heart.
Basically, for me, it's like I enjoy what I'm doing. I don't really know if I'm a podcaster or not. I guess I am, but I've always been a musician as far as like playing music for band stuff or whatever. Like this, my old band. So sporting a Beast of Bray Road shirt here tonight, and
really?
But basically, I started podcasting because I had some weird stuff happen, and I had all this recording stuff, and we weren't doing band music stuff anymore. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try my hand at podcasting. So that's
I bet you got some elite level gear there with just a recording level for band stuff.
You would think I would know more about what I'm doing, but I'm an idiot, so I don't know anything.
I don't think anybody does. Everything changes. If you don't know how to do a conversation, you just get like $10,000 worth of gear and hope it fills itself in the middle.
Yeah,
that's what I've noticed.
That's what I try and do. Is I just fake it till you make it.
Throw money at it.
But I think now we can bring on the couple people we got waiting. My friend Ed. I'm going to bring him on. He's actually had some recent sightings of something strange in the sky. His episode should be coming out here in a couple weeks, but he's going to hop on here with us too. And I'm going to bring Jesse on. So, how you guys doing?
It worked. Woo-hoo.
It did work.
Yes.
So, Jesse, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fine. How are you?
Doing good. It's awkward when you have more than one person on here, so the whole live thing is kind of a different vibe, but
you never know who's going to take the baton.
Yeah.
So talking to each other.
Jesse doesn't live too far from Ed and I. He's actually from Indiana too, and Ed's out of South Bend area, so we're all kind of in this area. But
A little triangle.
you know. So what have you? When you originally reached out to me, you talked about some of the things that you said you experienced and had some knowledge on. What is some of the stuff you want to dive into tonight?
Oh well, I was going to ask you the same thing. What do you prefer? I've got geopolitics and esoteric, and we've got the cryptids a little bit, not so much, and ghosts, UFOs, whatever you like.
You ever do anything with CE5s?
Oh, I don't know what that is.
The Stephen Greer, he does he does the CE5 where you kind of and you make the UFO appear.
No, I've never done anything like that.
It's mildly interesting because one night I was building a campfire in the backyard and concentrated really hard like they told me to, and something happened and I was like, did I just do that? It's like anybody says UFO, I ask about that. It's kind of interesting.
Well, when I was a child, I've always been aware that I get these little downloads, and I always knew where it was coming from in the sky. Now there's nothing visually there to my eyes, but anyway, no, the only UFO I've seen is in 2020. I saw an orb. It looked like a sunset, but it was way up above the horizon. It was 11:30 at night. It just turned from like a golden yellow to the deep purple, like sunsetting. But sun would have been out over Hawaii. I looked into it. I was trying to figure out any reason for it.
11:30 at night. That's almost Japan.
No.
5 hours away.
Ed, you saw some strange lights back in December?
Yeah. Because we were trying to figure out the date on that. Yeah, it was December-ish. Am I supposed to say the whole story, right? Or am I interrupting everybody?
No, you don't have to tell the whole story, but just kind of a little bit of.
I saw some like I was picking somebody up because I Uber like on the side because I look like an Uber driver, don't I? Anyway, so I just happened to be staring out in the sky and I thought it was lightning, but it was in only one direction. And it seemed like balls of light, kind of like explosions, like you would see in like dry heat thunder, but it wasn't like in the surrounding area. It was just one concentrated area. And I have no idea what it is, but even the person I picked up saw it and he was like freaked out by it too. And it was happening about like 10:30-ish and in the evening. So I can't explain that. I know it wasn't lightning. It wasn't. I don't know. It was kind of cool. It made my evening.
Was it in the sky? You said, and
it was like in the sky. It was almost like, in the air, like almost like a firework went off.
Yeah.
But there was no sound, and it kept doing it, and then it kind of stopped. So I don't think it was lightning.
First thing I thought of was those. The balls. Every straight stretch of train track in America will have like the balls of static gather up in a real dry part of or not dry but wet, like during a lightning storm.
Like ball lightning.
Yeah, but it'll be like 10 foot above the ground and moving down the track. And it'll eventually be known as insert that town's name, lights. That's what I was thinking of when you said that. Chapel Hill light, Flintville lights, there's all kinds of them.
I don't know. It was pretty. It was like, yeah. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Was it back in December?
When
that happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was seeing the same thing. I saw that 2 or 3 times driving home on second shift. I attributed it as a weather phenomenon rather than I didn't think UFO, but yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah. See, like that's what I'm saying. It was in the night, and nobody would probably be out looking up in the sky because it was kind of an ugly day, and it was like densely fog. So whatever light it was like magnified because of the fog, but it seemed like explosions in the sky, but there was no sound to it. And again, I wouldn't believe it myself if I didn't have a witness that was all freaked out by it too. So that was my thing. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. That kind of stuff, the weather phenomenon like that is wild when you're not expecting it. Just like those sea sprites, what they called. You see the It's like a big octopus in the sky after a lightning storm.
Yeah.
You ever seen those? Those are wild. Like you would think it was the end of 10 Cloverfield Lane. Like when the lightning flashed and you saw that mothership.
That sounds like those DMT reports too.
Yeah. Ayahuasca.
While you guys are talking amongst yourselves, don't mind me. I'm trying to spam this around so I get more people to check out what we're doing.
I put you in about 10 big groups. Hopefully we get some people on. I don't have a huge following, but they're faithful little fellas.
Yeah. I'm just dropping where I can drop.
I'm more fascinated by like I just got a new Mac and like the screen is bigger than the MacBook I ever used. So like technology's cool. It's only a 2014 like Mac, but like it's cool to see a bigger screen now of people and there are more details than people, but I don't know. Technology's weird.
I got my little Mac. I got my little Mac over here, like a 32-inch screen in front of me.
Right. This is like 37. So it's like I
telework.
feel like I was a caveman forever.
You're looking at a MacBook?
Yeah. Yeah. Now it's like a home theater, feels like. Anyway. Not related.
I think with some of the strange things that's been going on with like this UAP and everything else, it's interesting that more and more people are seeing these strange things in the sky. Like, I don't know how to explain it other than, are they preparing us for something? And then you have the crazy stuff happening next week with the following week with the eclipse. All the strange, you can't work. Now the state of Indiana has the governor signed an executive order for emergency response, and it is an eclipse. Like, what do they expect to be?
Yeah,
I gotta look that up.
The 8th?
They're acting weird.
April 8th?
Yeah.
Yeah,
like sorry.
I'm gonna say it's my daughter's 13th birthday, and then we got all the strange stuff going on that day.
Okay, it's on the Monday.
Nice 13 too.
It was kind of like that for the last eclipse, though. Everybody was passing around them glasses.
Yeah. I think everyone's got the glasses now here in my house but
my work isn't letting us off. I feel like some people are getting work off for it, which is kind of weird anyway, but like, no, they had a little bulletin saying like, oh, prepare for the blah, blah, blah. It's going to be at blah, blah, blah time. And we'll hand out like visors or something. I'm like, what, we're going on break just to watch this thing?
Yeah. When you follow all the strange things that go on and everything else, like, and you start to read into topics and you're like, man, this is really just a natural phenomenon. There's more stuff going on that they don't want us to know about. So my brain's always kind of seems strange. Now NASA's launching these 3 rockets supposedly at the eclipse when it happens. So it's like,
what?
This is not...
Wait,
what?
Yeah.
Why?
I heard this yesterday. They're testing out something and they want to release 3 rockets towards it. I think to check the vibrations or frequency. It's something. It's like, really? That makes no fucking sense to me of why you'd want to go on there and release.
Weird.
It's not going to make it there. Like, the rockets aren't fat.
Right.
I don't know what they're. We're gonna blow up the sun.
Some Dr. Evil shit there.
Yeah.
Blow up the eclipse.
Man, now I see why gas prices keep going up. They're just saving the fuel for that.
Yeah. Everyone needs to save the money because
yeah.
Come solar eclipse time, it's the end of the world as you know it.
It only happens every 18 months.
Something like that. It is 2024. It is a leap year and it's also an election year, and I don't want to talk too much about that because we'll get pulled off the air instantly, but a lot of weird stuff happens during election years.
At least that's what they want you to think. They try to correlate or something. It's like amplified by the fact that it's election year.
Yeah.
Oh, a 2-headed moose was found in Alaska. It is an election year,
Right?
Oh, it's an election year. October surprise. 3-headed snake.
I feel like I'm sick of hearing that it's the election year and things have to get worse. It's like, are we that dumb now? No, we're sick of it. You know what I mean? Like, it's all the crazy stuff happens because it's election year. Like, we're not falling for that. Some people still are though. So
I haven't watched actual news in over 4 years, other than tornado coverage.
You're probably happier that way.
I'm very happy. I'm ecstatic. I'll watch like 20 minutes of TikTok and they'll be like, something's happening. It's weird. I'm like, what is happening? We got a Culver's down the road. They have fantastic burgers. That's the only thing I care about.
Those buttery burgers.
And the cheese curds there.
Yeah.
You got that cheese curds. Feels like
the walleye fish sandwich.
I want to kick it back to Jesse because.
Sorry, Jesse.
It's all good. Now,
I love food too. I used to be a competitive eater.
Yeah. I always said I was a competitive eater, but I was just an excuse to be fat.
You're just a fat ass. That's my fault. You're just hungry. You just have hypoglycemia.
I just see food and I'm like, must eat.
Competitive.
Right?
But no, you said in one of the emails you'd sent me, you said you'd seen something like some sort of a creature that shouldn't be in this area. What was that about? Like, do you remember?
I may have been seeking information about local cryptids, and because I do feel like there's more than feel. I've seen a couple things back there. It scurries away, but yeah. So anyway, I know there's something out on this land. I found some old maps, and this row of houses has been here for forever. I've been out back and I found some structures on the property, or evidence of structures that existed before this house. And this house is 125 years old already. And so I was just seeking local information on what the maybe the Indians said was here or something like that. Because I'm thinking we're talking pre-white man here.
Totally. Is there mound builders around where you're at? The mounds?
Yes. There used to be. I think there still is.
Yeah.
I know there's Mound State Park down in Anderson.
Yeah.
I've mentioned that several times on episodes. They talk about puckwudgies a lot down there.
Mm-hmm. One of my favorite non-Bigfoot cryptids, by the way.
The little people.
Mm-hmm. You got to give them tobacco to keep them happy.
That's one of the things I did, and we have a great relationship.
So it's the year is 2024, and you've got a puckwudgie problem. What kind of tobacco do you give them? I mean, it's not like back in the day when you like had one kind of tobacco and you did with that tobacco what you wanted to. Like, do you give them like Marlboro Reds?
Oh, I smoke out of a pipe, so I just gave him some of that.
So you give them like actual pipe tobacco. Okay. Because I always thought about that.
Yeah.
I'm like, what if the puckwudgie likes light menthol 100s or something? I'm like, what do you give the puckwudgie? Levi Garrett?
I'll give them whatever as long as they bring my damn forks.
Yeah.
You know, there's something about that. Well, I was wishing one day for my wife had said something about some new pots and pans, and I couldn't afford any pots and pans at that moment. And I walked back there, and there are a couple almost brand new pots just sitting in the backyard. I don't know who he stole them from, but they weren't there last time I was out there.
Somebody's like, where in the hell?
Do you think the puckwudgie thing is like where the elves in the shoemaker store admit it came from? I just thought of that when you said the pots and pans.
Underpants.
Nobody remember that? The elves in the shoemaker kind of
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's make sure.
Like they'd go to sleep and wake up and the shoes would be made.
Yeah, like that's awesome. Like we need them. Do my job for me.
Yeah, they help out. They make the plants grow. I try not to piss him off.
Step 1, still underpants. Step 2, profit.
Where's your location at, Jesse?
Huntington.
Oh, I was there not too long ago. You have a cool little downtown. I don't know why. It's just kind of cool down there.
It is interesting. Who was it? Dan Quayle. Home of Dan Quayle.
Oh, no shit. Huh. Is he still around?
No, I don't think so.
Is he even alive?
That's what he just said.
I would assume not.
Dan Quayle? He's alive, isn't he?
Is he?
Unless Dick Cheney shot him. I don't know. Thought he was a quail. Thought he was an actual quail.
Quail.
That is a possibility.
No, I did not know that about Huntington, but like the downtown is like really historical. I could just tell the way it's set up. Like, I don't know. It's kind of cool. I like old towns.
I went there back in December to watch Godzilla -1 by myself, and I thought I was the only person in the theater. And then for some reason, a family comes in. It was like a dad, a mom. I'm assuming it's their son, but he's like almost my age. And they all sat right next to me. I was like, this is an entire empty theater. I'm in here to enjoy my movie by myself here. And And you literally sit right next to me. There's like 40 other empty seats all around you. Why did you sit directly beside me? They made it very awkward for me.
Where did you sit at?
I sat the very top, like
Oh,
right
you
at the
sit
edge.
like the middle where it's like almost
I
perfect.
sat in the middle, but I sat in, like the way the rows are set up. I sat like the aisleways right here, and they had sections over here, and they had something right here. So they sat directly at the top, but they sat on the other side of the section. So like they weren't next to me, but they were like right beside me, separated by the aisle.
Awkward.
I was like, there's plenty of other sides you could have went to. Why did you get right beside me? I don't know. I'm also the guy that might go up to a urinal. If there's like 4 or 5 urinals, I'll go right to the one where the guy's standing just to make it awkward for him.
Karma.
It happens.
That was a good movie, though.
I'm going to take the family tomorrow, and we're going to go watch Godzilla and Kong, The New Empire. So I am a huge Godzilla nerd, if anyone can't tell from behind me up on my wall. Over here, I've got all the little figures. So
Did you ever... Sorry.
I've got a tattoo on my arm of Godzilla. So
what was the Godzilla that they were talking about, the Hollow Earth theory? Like they were really pushing that, and I can't remember which one.
The last one.
Yeah, it was Godzilla versus Kong, and now the new one's the same thing. They're going back down on Hollow Earth.
That's kind of weird. No.
Did you watch the Monarch show? I mean, it was all about Hollow Earth. I thought it was an awesome show. It was all about Hollow Earth. Did you watch Monarch before or after -1?
I think before. I watched Monarch. I watched Monarch when it came out, and I saw -1 right before Christmas.
Yeah, because they like had the revealed like some of the Monarch spoilers in -1.
I don't know about that. You can't go against Godzilla.
Well, it was the Bikini Atoll scene where they nuked him. Yeah. And they showed it in -1 as well and explained how he came back after they blew that mine up in his face. So it's kind of like answering the questions of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. God, that's such a good movie.
Apparently the listeners didn't want to hear about Godzilla because we just lost like 5 of them.
That's too bad. Probably don't want to hear from me, to be honest.
No, basically, with Jesse on here, I wanted to talk about something that I just learned this past weekend. I was on Tuesday and Saturday, I did local UFO meeting groups, and they had me be the guest speaker. Well, on Saturday, I was informed about something recently that happened kind of by me, but not too far from you either, out by the Missinawall Reservoir. Someone had seen what was apparently a shape of a human, like a tall black figure that they said looked like a person in a trench coat. Now, if anyone knows me and they know about a weird black shape with no arms or whatever walking in the road, that's kind of very similar to what I saw years ago. But when the lady said she got up to this, apparently it wasn't wearing a cloak. It went like this, and its arms came out, but it also, what was wrapped around it was wings. And it unfolded like it was a humanoid with wings, and it just took off flying overhead. So that's weird. And then I guess a week or so later, someone else in the same area, only about a mile or two away, saw something else similar. They were driving down the road, and at the edge of the woods, they saw what looked like a 7-foot tall person standing at the edge of the road. And when they got closer to it, it just started lifting up and just kept lifting up, and then it just like flew off, like a human flew away. I was like, what the hell is going on out here by this Missinawall Reservoir? So I told my kid, and he wanted to go out monster hunting for it Saturday night, so I said he's going to be live bait. So I got my buddy, and we drove out there and drove around, and all we saw was a bunch of deer. And then we did come up on 2 teenage boys that were partaking in the finer things of life, I believe. They tried to turn around in the middle of the road, and they drove down too far in the ditch and got stuck. So my truck has construction lights on, so I flipped my lights on, and you could see the terror in their face. I think they thought it was the police.
What an asshole thing.
But we pushed them out and got them out of there. Like, next time, be safe, guys. Careful out there. Like, we've all done this out in this area, but don't get stuck. But Guess I could have used them for live bait, I guess, to see if the gargoyle or the Mothman or whatever.
You could have just pulled back to a reasonable distance and watch.
Yeah. Oh, they're stuck out here. Let's see what happens.
I feel like you should go a few more times instead of just once. Maybe it was just like a time for it to feed or whatever the hell it does.
I did realize that there's about 10 million deer that live out there because every 5 seconds we kept seeing eyeballs. I was like, oh, deer, another deer. But the description that these ladies had given was like, I don't tell you how you could confuse a deer for a winged humanoid. And I was thinking maybe like a big owl, because I've been out there before years ago, and it's hilarious. We came across something moving up the edge of the road. It was a live raccoon fighting an owl. The owl was trying to pick up the raccoon.
Isn't that what they said the Flatwood Monster was?
I don't remember what they said that thing was, but the description of it makes no sense.
And I had my shirt on. I had it on there a while ago. But they put it in the tree, and J. Allen Hynek told him it was an owl.
Yeah. I don't know if it had red eyes. They didn't describe. I didn't hear it from the ladies firsthand. I heard it from someone else who heard it from two separate people. I'm supposed to actually talk to that guy in an interview here in a couple weeks. So when I do interview him, I'm going to bring up more about it to see if he knows more in detail about what was going on with it.
Well, I've seen the shadow things, but whenever they take off in the upward direction, it's always been really fast. And I have many witnesses there when we've seen them in a play, a whole bunch of them all at once, doing very weird things. But I could imagine that if they were to move slow, they would probably look like a winged humanoid. And who's to say that they don't?
The first thing I thought was, like everyone else, Mothman. But it's strange because when I took my buddy out, when we were going out looking, he told us about his friend. And I don't remember what year he said this was or how long ago or anything about it. But he said that, so I was telling him what was told to me as we're driving out there. He said his friend told him and his wife were coming back one night driving out in that same area. And they saw something on the road eating roadkill, like over on the side of the road, eating a deer. But when they drove by, it lifted up and looked like a person. And then it flew off. They called it a gargoyle. I was like, oh, I never even put two and two together, like gargoyle or whatever. But that's 3 different people that supposedly had seen something out and around this area. That's interesting, at least enough to me to pique my curiosity.
Mm-hmm. I was asking this week if anybody saw Mothman in Baltimore.
Yeah, I heard that too because of the whole bridge thing.
Yeah, first thing I thought, wake up number 37.
Yeah, there was some serious sun activity that day, and it kind of correlates to how our directed energy weapons can be used. When I say our, I don't just mean our government. It's an international deal. And yeah, so that could have very easily been targeted. And
first thing I said is, anybody have eyes on Richard Gere?
Hundreds of thousands of tons or hundreds of tons of.
The guy that actually wrote the Mothman prophecies or whatever, the movie itself was more embellished than his actual book, though, wasn't it?
It was totally way off.
Yeah, I never read the book or anything.
They put the Indrid Cold character as Mothman, and no one told him to do that. That's not actually how it went down.
I liked the movie, but I didn't think it actually met up to the actual story.
Movie scared shit out of me in college.
Did they even show the creature in the movie? It's been so long.
They did for a brief second, and like,
oh, yeah,
like he was
call him on the phone. I just remember the chapstick thing. Like,
yeah,
what's in my hand? Chapstick. I'm like, I knows how to use a phone.
Yep.
No, I watched the movie when it came out. I thought it was a good movie, but I didn't think it had anything to do with the actual lore.
Yeah,
I think they didn't even attribute Mothman to the bridge until afterwards.
Someone years ago, I've seen it, that they've seen supposedly flying humanoids around Chernobyl when that shit went down. That was like the rumors that I've seen floating around, as people were seeing flying winged humans before the meltdown.
It's clear that our view of cause and effect is not the correct view of cause and effect. If anything has predetermined knowledge of things, if they're predetermined, then whatever it must be interdimensional and must come to us from a place that sees things outside of our view of time.
That's kind of where I lean.
How would you think you would even study that in any realm, like right now, with our technology? Study something that sees views like that, because it feels like you just couldn't do it.
Oh, well, they are with the subatomic particles and advanced mathematics.
That's not with like something we can get off Amazon, though.
No.
Like a FLIR and like a flashlight. You can't do it.
Well, everything they've done since the late 50s, early 60s has involved technology. They've understood the plasma physics long before it's a big deal now, but you can't do any of, even getting to the moon, you can't do any of what they have done or claim they've done without understanding that stuff.
The moon thing to me is a rabbit hole that I don't feel like going down tonight. But I don't understand how we went to the moon and then we destroyed the technology and then we haven't been back to the moon because we didn't want it to fall into the wrong hands. I mean, that just sounds like horse shit to me, but
it was just rockets. It wasn't even that good of technology. I live where they built the stuff. I can go see all of that within 5 minutes from where our house is. The Apollo, the rocket center and everything. It's just not, it doesn't feel like it's that advanced technology that they couldn't just make again. I feel like there's a reason we're not going back. And I think that reason is H3. I think that's why they killed it, because of big oil. I think that's why they killed Apollo.
Well, I think that maybe that does have a lot to do with it, but we don't understand what going to the moon means. Leaving our atmosphere is an etheric experience. It's not taking a body through the Van Allen radiation belt. It's something other than our physical understanding of matter.
I bet it's a trip. Apollo 18. That was a great movie. Underrated.
Which is why if you confront the people who went there, most of them don't laugh. They get violently aggravated about it. Like
Buzz Aldrin.
It is a deeply changing experience that can't be challenged.
And Buzz Aldrin went off the deep end. He said it's still cool that he went, but he has no chill. Remember when he punched that hippie in the face?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they didn't pick psychologically stable people. And that was the claim, that they picked the fittest mentally and physically that they could find in the country. Evidence is not supporting that.
Isn't it funny that they managed to pull it off on their first try and they were able to leave the moon and dock back into the thing and make it all the way back on their first try?
I mean, they went a bunch of times circling. They circled it 6 or 8 times. And there was the guy that practiced the landing but didn't do it. They put just enough fuel on it that he could do the practice run but not land, because they didn't want him to just go like, fuck it, I'm landing on the moon. He had like 10 seconds left before he had to pull back, or he would have tried it. That's why they limited his fuel. That was like Apollo 10.
I just don't feel like they actually made it. I feel like it's all been studioed.
That touches on the geopolitics thing. You notice nobody tried to do anything after we got there. It's like nobody wants to be the second on the moon. The flag's not defended. You can just rip it up.
Yeah, that's why it makes you wonder why we never went back.
It must have been boring. Like, this is it.
Maybe they found what was living on the dark side of the moon.
Or scary.
Pink Floyd is hanging out there.
What was that movie? I think Apollo 18 or something like that. Where
that's what he was saying.
Like bird shit
the rocks were alive.
Yeah.
I've, as they say, like only less than 10% of the ocean has been explored, but we don't want to do that. And I'm like, there's got to, you've seen The Abyss. I'm like, that's an interesting movie. It's like, that's an interesting concept. Maybe there is stuff down there. I don't know.
The Abyss is elite level movies. A lot of people, the amount of people that don't know about it is insane, because it's better than anything that's came out.
It's pretty
recently.
It holds up still, yeah.
I don't know how the technology holds up, but it does. It feels like it was made recently.
Oh yeah.
And it could be in black and white and be just as good.
It was a James Cameron movie, wasn't it?
Yep.
That dude always has like some of the most advanced movies for some reason. I think he's the devil.
It's like you can watch The Thing with Kurt Russell, and you're just like, man, this is
terrifying.
You can watch it. You can watch it every day for a month and find something new each time. And the way it starts off with you watching that dog get shot at, you're like, what's he shooting the dog for? You're like, oh, that's why, it's a monster.
I mean, there was some kind of interesting thing about that whole movie because then they end up finding the ship. They're in Antarctica and they find a ship there that crashed, and they took it out of the ice, and it's like Antarctica's got all those weird secrets apparently. So it's like kind of interesting how it correlates to the real life mysteries of Antarctica, supposedly.
I've got something here I'm going to put up on the screen. I don't know if it'll show it all.
It's a long one. Something about a coyote. I can't read.
Big boy. What's a big boy? Oh, big wild dog and coyote.
A dog's name is Big Boy.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm thinking. I'm partial to the strange canines for my own selfish reasons.
Event Horizon was a crazy movie too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, apparently there is an unrated version of that never came out, but it's like really a fucked up movie. Even more fucked up than what it is.
Right. Didn't like the ship was alive because it went to different dimensions and then it got
like
sucked into the last.
It went to a different dimension, but wasn't like supposed to be like hell.
Yeah, it's layered like the Inferno. It's a brilliant piece. It really is great.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to watch it again sometime. I haven't watched it forever.
It's one of those elite ones that some people are like, oh, I didn't like it. I bet you didn't.
You didn't understand it.
Yeah. It's like people that don't like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That movie changed my life.
Uneducated swine.
Yeah. Piff. Peasants.
You mentioned Antarctica. I think that and the Hollow Earth as well. That's kind of related. There's I think in 4-dimensional space-time, or in the space-time dimensions where it stabilizes, which 4 is the easiest for us to understand, it will the Earth is most accurately represented as a donut.
Donuts.
Yeah, I love
that. Don't tell my kid he'll eat it.
Homer, The Simpsons called it again.
Yeah.
Simpsons did it.
Yeah, that is interesting. All the Simpsons, the ties into real life. I'm like, what?
Where did what happen, Greg?
Oh, she's talking about
Vicky's Big Boy.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I have a picture of Big Boy right here. See him?
The Big Boy restaurant?
Yeah.
Do those still exist?
I don't know. I think there's a couple. My favorite radio station down here found one for free a few years ago. When I was in college, I went and stood beside and took a picture, and that's what's back there. Because they inspired me to change my major to telecommunications. So I kind of I got to dedicate things to them every once in a while.
I'm almost jealous because I've never seen back to the subject. I've never seen anything like creepy or scary, and it's like I'm always looking now since Brandon started the show, because I'm always looking, but I always see deer or dead animals on the side of the road, but never anything cool or I don't know. It's fascinating because you're on a late night.
If you see Dog Man, run that motherfucker over for me.
Well, I don't know. Nobody's ever ran over a Dog Man, so
you might be the first.
Yeah, I'd hit him. Yeah, it'd be my luck to hit it with my new car. But no, it's fascinating that I've never seen any kind of creature like that, ever.
You ever seen Exists where he hits the Bigfoot with his Jeep?
No, that's directed by the guy from
Blair Witch.
Yeah.
I had him on my show. He was amazing.
No shit.
Yeah, Eduardo Sanchez. I just that's one of those we were talking about. How'd you get him? I don't know. I just asked him.
Nice.
he's like, yeah, man, he was amazing. And we talked about, he did Exist, which is a Bigfoot movie. And of course, I'm gonna ask him about Patterson Gimlin. And he said there's no way. It was there's no way they can make a suit that complicated in the 60s when he's sitting there in 2014 making like a Halloween costume looking suit.
It still stands the test of time if anyone's watched that video and they've stabilized and they've done all this stuff, and you can see that it was female, so it had breasts. You can see the muscles and its legs moving. That is a very, very high-tech functioning costume for the 1960s, and it's never been been replicated. People have come forward and said, yeah, I made that costume, and then you watch what they've shown as what they made it to be, and it looks nothing like it.
Yeah, that gorilla head guy he's holding. Like, what is that?
I've never seen a Bigfoot, but for some reason I feel like if there is something out there, they caught it on camera back then. And I know they claim that it was all a hoax, and the guy that filmed it said it was a hoax on his deathbed. I was like, I don't believe that's true. Because Bob
gets talked about it anymore.
Bob Gimlin still is alive and still says he had nothing to do with it. And it's not like he goes around and makes a bunch of money off of it.
He's not rich.
No. I actually been wanting to get him on the show, and I don't know how to go about getting in contact with him. He's like the godfather of Sasquatch at this point.
Yeah, it's almost been done so much that it's not worth having him at some point.
No.
Like, you're not going to get anything new out of him.
It's not so much for the newness; it's just the fact that I got to talk to the guy.
I know why. I know why you want him. Don't. You don't have to explain yourself to me. I'm just saying it feels like just to say you had him. Like maybe.
Yeah,
that's like we're talking about Ron Moorhead.
Is that the famous? We're talking about the famous video where he's just walking, right?
Yeah, he walks and looks back from the 60s.
It's man.
Yeah. They've never been able to replicate that. And like when they've enhanced the video with modern technology, you can see that it has breast, and you can see like the muscles in its leg, and you can see the break in its foot.
Like, I have to look back. I have to actually watch that again.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
Huh.
You want to stir some folks up, just post a video about
it. What do you
That is if you want to stir some shit up, just go on Reddit. I've already done that today. Someone went on this big long rant about how dogmen don't make a sound, and they got all authoritative on it. They don't do this. They're only 5'6", and like they went. I was like, I said, well, I said, for the last 17 years, I've always wondered. I didn't really believe I actually saw a dog man. So thank you for setting me straight. I can sleep easy tonight. Thank you for doing the Lord's work. Fucking idiot. Because it makes no noise. How the hell? I hate when people act like they're experts about cryptids, about things that you can't even prove exist, but they know everything about them. I was like, really? How the hell do you know everything about something that you can't even prove exist? There's no bodies. There's no science behind it. It's your guesswork.
People love the apers love it too. People that swear it's a great ape that's just not been found, they'll die on that hill just as hard as anybody else will.
Apes don't walk like that. Even if they're kind of like this, real ape walk. That was like
a orangutan walking.
Yeah, you go down into the Bigfoot realm. You have your sides that are
apers,
flesh and blood ape,
woo-woos.
And you have your woo-woo side where it's people that say there's more to them, supernatural elements.
I'm on both sides, by the way. I cater to both. Pandering. That's what I do.
Sometimes that's what you got to do in the podcast world.
Mm-hmm. I love talking to the biologists and stuff, though.
Well, I'm sure everything. It wouldn't take a biological form if it didn't have a biology.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, I don't know of any kind of animatronics, alien created or us created, they can do that.
Yeah.
But there are dogs that can look you in the eye.
Yeah, that blows my mind. That your story there had to make me rethink a whole lot of things. I do not get that.
I don't know. It's to this day, it's one of those things. It's like, this can't be real. It has to be having some sort of an explanation, but it's here I am 17 years later. I'm doing a fucking podcast. I'm talking about weird shit. So it's like, I don't know.
It's what was supposed to happen.
That's what other people say. You're here for a reason, and this is the reason. I was like, well, I have to sit around on a Thursday night and talk about stuff that we'll never know about.
You're now 0 degrees from Bobby Dizzle, so your mission is accomplished. Welcome to the big show.
My life is now complete.
You're coming with me to the top, to the moon, as they say in the Dogecoin world.
Huh. I know. Up in Michigan, like way close to like the Upper Peninsula, like there's Bigfoot stuff everywhere. It's almost like, are they kind of making a joke about it? But like, there's so much vastness up there that, and I was telling Brandon how like some areas are like, what I say, they have signs where they say like they're like guarded, or I can't even think of the word. It's been a long day. But basically signs tell you're not supposed to cross in there. It's been like protected. But why? It's like, I wonder what's over there. Not that I walk in those areas, but it's kind of interesting how you see that sign everywhere. Those signs up there a lot. Like, don't bother the nature, or what's behind those signs. So I kind of believe it. He's probably up there hiding. He or she, whatever.
When you go out into the wilderness and you look around and you start to see the vastness, you can understand why people think that something like that could be living out there, because like you just said, you go into these forests and national parks and everything, there's specific areas they turn into national parks. And I'm not going to say the missing 411 is 100% accurate, because I've heard a lot of weird stories about David Paulides.
How dare you?
He'll probably sue me, so it is what it is.
I hope so. I'd have nothing to do with it.
I'm just going to edit all that out and put it over on your mouse, the one saying it.
Cool. Maybe they'll follow me.
But no, basically, they've been able to track like all the strange disappearances in national parks, and there's more disappearances around the cave systems. And if you look at where all these things are, there's also a lot of weird cryptid sightings along these same pathways where people disappear. And there's also a lot of cave systems. So what if the caves and the forest, and the reason they choose these areas and protect them is all because they know what the hell's living in these areas?
Yes.
They almost overlay each other.
Yeah. If you put down the maps, and look at it and overlay each layer, it all lines up.
It just goes to show you, just go to Nebraska. You're not going to get scooped up, see a Bigfoot, and it won't fall in a hole.
No, you just get children of the fucking corn.
Just
but
light them on fire.
just like outer space, it's another realm.
I just wonder if there's like caverns, not like, Godzilla versus Kong-esque caverns, but giant ones that we just haven't found yet. And that's where maybe they can clip down there somehow, and like Kong would fall, and then all of a sudden he's reverted and he's falling down.
Yeah, we've all seen, or so many thousands of people have seen somebody just walk into the side of a hill, and that when they investigate, they can't find a hole that they went into. I was just talking to somebody on Reddit the other day who had seen that. I saw somebody walk up a hill and then not come down it. I don't know where they went. But
I think I've talked about this before. When you get into these hills and everything else, these mountain ranges. Hey, Ernie.
Hi, Ernie.
Ernie.
When you go into these mountain ranges and everything else, there are a lot of strange sightings. And it's not so much just like Bigfoot or typical, but there's the strange humanoids. And people want to say rake. Rake is a creepypasta, but I believe they're based off of other sightings. Like you have your pale crawlers, and you also have depictions of wendigos. Like the original wendigos were based off of spirits or whatever, but their descriptions are pale, humanoid, skinny creatures. People are seeing that very description. And in the movie The Descent, I think I've talked about this maybe on the last live stream, but The Descent, I almost feel like is a movie that was made to let people know what's actually in the cave systems, because they look like pale crawlers.
Gollum.
Yes. Yeah.
Interesting.
Like, people say goblins. Kentucky goblins. People say the Dover demon. Like, if you look at all the descriptions of all these things, they all have that same sort of appearance. Almost like this little fucker back here, the little green guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not saying they're aliens. I'm not being Georgios Tsoukalos or whatever his name is, but
it was aliens.
yeah.
I mean, you look like that too. If you lived in a cave and didn't eat and didn't see sunlight.
Have you ever seen the fish that are in caves? Like the fish that evolved in caves?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, no eyes. Or
yeah, they don't have eyes, and they're white, and they're scrawny. Like, what if that fitness in biology is like attributes to anything that's grown in the cave, like you were saying, like the human version of those fish, those little golem things.
I agree with the darkness thing, but when you look at the Gray's body shape, I think that there's a low gravity situation going on there with either underwater or someplace else because of the frail bone structure. But the darkness thing seems to be a definite contributor to their evolution.
Darkness.
Or our evolution. Perhaps.
It is weird though. Like, you'd think scientists would go and kind of find them, but nobody wants to touch that shit, I guess.
Nobody wants to get funded. No university is going to fund it. We have to have some kind of Ron Bigelow, Mel Gigolo to come along and, fund it. And just some Elon Musk come along with $1 billion and say, I want to find Bigfoot, and just pour all the money in the world into it. That's what was going to happen. That's what would happen.
They don't want to find Bigfoot, though.
I don't think so. Or they have, and they don't want us to know about it.
What if Bigfoot has already been found?
Mm-hmm.
They know about Bigfoot, but they don't want the public to know about Bigfoot because Bigfoot changes a lot of the narrative.
That could be said for a lot of stuff.
We didn't divert from the apes tens of or hundreds of thousands of years ago. It was much more recently, perhaps.
There's that aspect, or there's the aspect that these are a higher intelligent being.
Yeah, another realm kind of thing.
It disproves a lot of the stuff that we're taught. It disproves the main moneymaker, which is religions. And I don't know how else to go into without saying, like, if you go down into this pathway, a lot of people use religion as a way to explain cryptids as Nephilim. I don't necessarily think they're Nephilim.
I was about to say, depending on what religion, it may emphasize the religion.
Yeah.
You find out exactly what they really are.
But there's just a lot of weird shit when it comes to these things. I don't feel like they're just flesh and blood, normal, everyday creatures.
No.
I think
there would be a body if they were just a hidden ape.
There would be a body. There would be evidence, something of them. Like, you would be able to... Why is it every time someone takes a picture of Bigfoot, it's literally a blurry friggin' pareidolia bush or something like that with a red circle around it?
Have you seen two things on that? Have you seen the Lost Coast tapes Bigfoot movie? It's like in between. Yeah, it's a fake one, but it's in between Willow Creek and Exists. And every time they show the Bigfoot, the camera goes and then goes back to normal. Like, I thought that was an interesting thing.
I had a theory. I had a theory that if these things are from a higher plane of reality, that their vibrations are different than ours, and that's why they look blurry, is because they're vibrating at a different frequency. So when we can't pick them up because their vibrations and frequencies are different from our realm, so we don't get pictures of them. We just see the blurriness of them.
And that's why Patterson Gimlin. And that's why Patterson Gimlin got one with a spring-loaded camera, no electronics. That's the reason. The movie Nope explains it. I think they told us. I think they were just telling us how they did it.
I never watched that movie yet.
Well, you need to. We'll end this podcast now, and you go watch Nope, and we'll reconvene in 2 hours.
Wait, is Nope the one in the sky?
Yeah,
that's
the
alien.
That was mind blowing.
Man, I loved it. I love Nope so much.
It was good. It was good. I'm like, holy hell.
And
I won't spoil it for anybody if anybody didn't see it.
I'll spoil one part because it's been a year.
Sure.
But get with the program, folks. Watch the movies the day they come out. I'm that kind of person. But like, at the end of it, like the whole big reveal was Cuz built a camera. Didn't have no electronics, so he got the money shot. He went into the cloaca. And so And after it was over, I'm like, did they just tell us how they got Patterson-Gimlin? Like why it worked? Is this what this was? Hollywood, deep state
Hollyweird.
telling us that? Yeah.
Maybe.
I know it wasn't, but it was the same concept. I mean, he had the same basic camera mechanically. I mean, his was giant, like a spool, and Patterson-Gimlin's like this. But it was basically the same thing. Like he couldn't get a picture of it because it would kill those little inflator droids or whatever they were called. And then the only way they could get a picture was with the mechanical one or that wind up wishing well. What was that at the end of it? She put a quarter in and wound it up, and you got a picture of yourself looking down a well at Stephen Yin's little park he made across the pasture.
I kind of remember.
I have no idea.
It's been a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the end of it. Like, what's her name? The lady, but like it was the kid in the parks would all look down in this well, and they would and wind it up, and it would snap a picture, and that would be your take it home, put it on the refrigerator.
Okay, yeah, I kind of remember that.
Yeah, and that was like the end of it. She had that picture taken because it came across full frontal flying saucer pain cloaca, and it took it. She took it, and there she had it. Couldn't do anything about it.
Now they got the picture though. Everyone else is just gonna say it's AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
AI.
It's his mid journey.
Isn't that weird? Like somebody mentioned about interdimensional, and it's like, okay, so how unfair it is that other beings can come here, but can they see us? Is it the same thing? We don't know that, but like it's interesting how it's almost a tease that they're able to jump between, but we're stuck on this like purgatory, which I call
maybe part of it.
Yeah.
And maybe why the I don't even know what I'm trying to say now. Whatever. Sorry. I had something.
We have some facility in moving between these as well, if we choose to develop it. And when you get to the other side, you can see how they would see us. Perhaps they wouldn't see us as physical bodies, but then again, they don't focus on physical bodies. We have some facility in traveling, but people always want to travel up, and people never explore down very much.
I know I was going to say, maybe that's why whenever you try to manifest something, and you just think about it a lot, and that's the kind of communication you're inflicting is when you start that kind of communication. The other side kind of trickles down, makes it happen.
Oh, so like the Force, like I want an ice cream bar, and I try to manifest it, but it only shows up. So basically, again, a tease.
Law of attraction. Neville Goddard, law of attraction. You're thinking of somebody, and then they call, that kind of thing.
Well, yes, I believe in that, but most of the time people end up trying to tinker around with it, and they end up doing it the exact opposite of what they intend to do because they haven't tuned their, I don't know, we'll say inner daemon for a different word.
You have to be very specific.
Spirit.
It can get very Jinn if you're not careful. You have to be very specific.
Jinn, I like that. Yeah.
Jinn. I had a conversation actually earlier about how most children, whatever, they're in tune to everything else, can see ghosts, predict things, and then we lose that. And it's like interesting to think like, how would we be able to keep that kind of power that we once had as a kid or a child, just to see ghosts and things that we're not supposed to see? Like, I don't know. That's, to me, is interesting how we lose that, whatever, that sixth sense.
I don't think it's something we lose that we can keep. I think it's just our the development of our spirit, for lack of a better term. Like you kind of like pulling cheese away from a pizza. Like the baby is like right when you pull it and it comes apart, and it can't. Once it gets far away from where it came from, the inner dimension part, wherever the soul comes from, then it can't go back once it loses all its ties.
But are we tainted because, is the world tainting us basically from that being?
I think we just grow out of it eventually.
But it sounds so important,
Yeah.
What's that, Jesse?
It would also leave you frail and spiritually in the wind your entire life. You wouldn't be able to do the things that grown men and grown women need to do.
Yeah,
growing up kind of sucks, I'll be honest.
Well, the souls are on this earth to learn something, and if you're stuck in that ethereal plane as a baby who can still talk to its past life, then you're not going to learn it. You're not going to learn anything. You have to go past the trial scene of the video game. That's all the first 7 years are. You're learning the controls. You know, you can't. You know what I'm saying? Like you're here for a reason.
So basically, that sixth sense is worthless, is what you're saying. So we can pay taxes eventually.
I would love to have it. I'm just saying, like, if you're just focused on that, if you never came out of it and you're like a 5-year-old with all your imaginary friends your whole life, you're like, well, probably.
Well, I mean, I feel like, not just seeing ghosts, but like I feel like kids are more in tune with the earth. I would think, like, and it's like,
you believe in magic.
Well, that's different, but like
Santa Claus.
No, I don't know. But just like more like the spiritual thing. It's like I feel like the innocence that children have, and that they appreciate the small things. Well, I don't know. I just feel it. What's that?
You have to, as you grow up, you have to build up that, like, an ossification, an outer layer of facade that allows you to function. But that doesn't mean I don't believe it is like the cheese pizza. I think underneath you still have that inner child thing with the spark, the divinity thing you can do. It takes a little, getting to know yourself takes a little work, but
I now want a cheese pizza.
Right.
Wow.
But yeah, it'd be interesting to be able to tap into that sixth sense. So
it would be. I think of it a lot, and
well, they call it the third eye too.
Yeah,
and we get clouded by it, like, toxins and
maybe we're not supposed to grow out of it. Maybe that's the fluoride part of it. Like before that, there was everybody had, the Teslas of the world, and people could talk to spirits, and now we don't hear anything.
I mean, I woke up the other day, and before I opened my eyes, I could see the entire room around me bathed in a blue light, and I can, and it happens sometimes in that liminal state in between dream and waking, that you can see without your eyes, you can hear without your ears. There's other things.
What's that called? State akin to sleep?
Well, like a delta brainwave thing.
Yeah, this satting state akin to sleep. Yeah. That's whenever you can try to communicate. That's where people try to get their out of body experiences going.
Yeah,
I used to try that. I'd get to the spot where you start vibrating, and I'd wake up. I'd almost get it to happen. I'm like, damn it, I woke up.
Do you think
the first time I astral traveled, it's because I had to.
Yeah.
So
I was gonna say astral projection and dream states and everything else is kind of. I've always wondered, like, when you're having dreams, are you actually, some of the dreams that are super vivid dreams, are you actually dreaming, or are you traveling? If that makes any sort of sense. Like,
my dreams are too weird. Like, just that thought, like, I don't know why I dreamt of that, or if it actually happened, but yeah, you kind of wonder. But mine are too weird.
So my kid, this is what's funny. The other day, I was at I gave that talking at the local UFO meeting about my weird experience. Later that day, down the road, I think I sent you the photo, Ed. The dog that was right down the street. Do you remember that? The strange looking.
No.
He had some weird eye. It looked like very similar to what I've always described. The dog thing, it obviously was not nearly as big. And then the very next day out in my driveway, my parents are leaving, and there happens to be a mouse in my driveway, and I end up having to move it with my foot and put it in a bucket, and I took it over and dumped it over in the side of the road.
I don't remember this. You didn't tell me about this. Swear to God.
The mouse was dying. I'm assuming it ate some of the poison we have set out in the garage or whatever, but it's just the timing of everything just was weird. Like, I saw the strange dog and then right down the street, and then I seen this stupid mouse. I was like, it's my own fucking repeat. That's why I said, if you see a dog man walking around, just run him over for me.
Sure.
We're in a loop.
It's been 17 years, and 17 years before my stuff, someone else seen something very similar in 1990. I seen my stuff in 2007, and now 17 years later, it'd be 2024.
Some Jeepers Creepers.
Maybe Dogman's Jeepers Creepers.
I'm convinced, though, like your area, as you said, it's like in a valley, right? And it's the river. And it's just
between
like
the two rivers.
yeah, and like when you're going down to Indy, that is the part I noticed the most. It's more kind of hilly like, almost like a valley, and it's like there's got to be shit hidden here. There's got to be. My
This whole
opinion.
area is from Miami Indian area. Like the Miami Indians were from here naturally, so it's like the tribes and everything else, like they were all through here. So there's a lot of Native American lore just in this area because you have the two rivers, you have the Mississinawa, where all those weird activities going on. There's been sightings of all sorts of like weird canine stuff, and then not even just that. Obviously now, winged people. So like, what the hell's going on around here?
Isn't that weird that like Indian burial ground or anything Indian is always haunted? Even the movies say this. It's like
No,
it just seems to be like a natural phenomenon. Don't mess with Indian burial grounds for some odd reason. You would think you'd think as the white man would learn not to take their land if they knew these things would happen, but we didn't find out until later that they really were cursed.
It'd be chancing.
Yeah.
They knew where they were building. They knew where the good energies were because the animals knew where the good energies were. These rivers are accumulators for atmospheric or organic energy, and sure, I wouldn't be surprised that you experience all sorts of enhanced paranormal activity because of that.
That's definitely interesting what you just said. Just because, like, you know how, there's just deer everywhere. I don't hunt deer, but they kind of have like they're in tune to something. I mean, as much as stupid as you think they are when they run across the road and you almost hit them, but like somehow they know, all the creatures. It's just definitely interesting.
They know when it's about to storm. They know when it's going to rain for a long time.
Yeah.
That I don't know how. When it's going to get really cold, they know.
And I feel like
bridge the energy between the earth and the air. They practically fly. They're somewhere between mammal and bird. They're like Tolkien's elves. There's something different.
And I feel like that's what I mean by like what we lost as an innocent kid. We should be like kind of in tune as adults, but we're not. We're just kind of like fed into, you got to pay taxes, have a job, but I mean, I'm sure there's some people, adults, that are in tune to the earth that way, but I feel like we're supposed to be on the same plane as the animals, so to speak, but we've lost it. Can't find it.
We've lost touch with nature.
Terribly.
And we've became in touch with technology as we sit here on technology.
In front of my Mac with a big screen. iMac. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to be able to talk to animals and be like, where did we fuck up, man? Where did we fuck up? Please tell me.
Where did we go wrong?
Right, animals. But, yeah.
I've always wondered, like, how do animals, like, they have that natural sense, like they can sense when a predator's around. I had someone tell me the other day that they were out hunting out by, actually in your area, by Huntington, out by Salamone. They said they go out there all the time coyote hunting. And he said of all the years he's been out there, he's never once felt this way, but he was just completely overran with fear. And I don't remember. I don't think he left. I don't think he said he's been back there since, but like everything was like dead quiet and just had that really terrified urge to get out of there. And I told him, I said, that's very typical to what you hear when there's either like a Sasquatch or a dogman. Like, there's all sorts of things that I've heard relating to that. Like, if the woods go quiet, animals know there's a predator around. So, are they sensing him as the predator because he's walking around hunting? Or was there something else? Like, if you don't see it, it's hard to know, but...
I've been out there before and it do that. Gets dead quiet for no reason. It's weird.
I don't go in the woods anymore for my own personal reasons.
I'd say if you want to commune more with these things or get just regular animals, my tip would be to learn or remember how to think without words, because you got to be speaking the same language.
True.
Yeah.
There's a lot of knowledge behind that. I know you said you do dive into some esoteric things or whatever. What is some of the things that you researched or looked into or study?
Oh, I started, as many teenagers do. I looked into some little Wiccan stuff, which gradually led me to, you know, like the Golden Dawn, Golden Bough type stuff, Aleister Crowley and Israel Regardie, and then checked out that sort of thing. Then found myself in a Mason's Lodge one day and realized that they were doing exactly the same thing, and then started to look into how many organizations around the world are doing exactly the same thing and how the same symbols have been found everywhere from Hindu temples to Nazi superstructures. I mean, everything is nothing has ever to Washington D.C. There's an intelligence behind the design of the world that's been there from the beginning, it appears, and a lot of people want to call it negative. There's a few people out there that want to call it good. I think when you look at the unless you want to take the hardline Christian approach that everything here is bad, then you have to take a little bit more nuanced approach into investigating what it is, what its powers are, and I've always kind of maintained that openness from when I was a kid. So I have to be very careful what I even read, because it's a lot of it'll just manifest almost instantly. So I'm very interested in that sort of thing, and I've got some tales on what the ancient forces might be, but I'm rambling. Sorry.
No.
Good.
That was a good ramble.
Yeah.
My kids were fighting, so I was listening to you and trying not to get angry. Jesse, tell me more about the ancient ones, Jesse, before I choked them.
The ancient ones, and I mean, you can watch the migration of spiritual culture coming up out of India and all the way around the lower coast and then the west coast of Europe up into Ireland, and then it settles in some parts of Germany and Russia. And there's pockets of that spirituality battling a very public battle against pockets of Western spirituality right now. People think it's about a whole bunch of other things, and it is, but those people are playing on a lower level. The high forces are two major spiritual camps.
I've been really big into angel numbers and that law of attraction stuff lately. I think there's a lot to that. If you pay attention and don't get too crazy with it.
Yeah, numerology is very interesting, but I think that we should have been on more of a base 12 system adjusted by a certain fraction. And then things start to fall into place without taking our physical dimension and putting it into 6 or 24 dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
we were mentioning numbers.
I'm sorry.
You were mentioning numbers, and it made me think. Ed is you see, not unless you see, but you always point out to me. You send me stuff with number 17.
17. It seems to be like it occurs in a lot of things. Like, okay, recently the Boston, is it Boston? What bridge is that? Baltimore Bridge.
Baltimore.
17th biggest bridge, I believe. Something like that. Well, let me look at it. Sorry. I sent the damn text.
Basically, though, like stuff in movies too, they reference they're on the 17th floor when something's going on, or the hangar's in hangar 17, or like there's all sorts of things that, like, it seems weird that goes on. It's always 17. Well,
okay, Baltimore ranks the top U.S. It's the 17th largest port.
17th
Interesting.
largest port.
Why the hell? It shows up in news articles. It's very strange. Can't understand it, but I don't know. I just want to say, yeah, I think it shows up in a Marvel movie. I don't know if you guys watch those movies, but like Iron Man had ordered the Spider-Man special suit. Number 17, unlock. That special suit that Spider-Man gets to go in space. I'm like, interesting. That number showed up in The Last of Us when that lady had a little commune and she had a prisoner in a certain in a cell. What number was it? 17. I'm like, what the fuck is with this number? I don't know. It'll show up a lot, and I don't understand why. I feel like
he's made it to where I've started noticing
Jim Carrey.
It too.
Yeah, the Jim Carrey thing with the 23.
Number 23.
Yeah, like look at it that way, but not like deep down that mathematical equation like he did in the movie, but like that number occurs a lot in movies and news articles.
There is a. Go ahead.
Something is speaking to you there, and when you finally figure out what that 17 is, bet it'll just jump to another number. There'll be a
Have you
different
Googled?
message.
Have you Googled like Suzanne Sunscribes and seen what it meant to you?
Well, I have an idea, but like, I don't. It depends.
Mine
on,
moves
like,
around.
Yeah. I have sort of an idea, but I'm not one of those people. So, well, I don't know if I'm allowed
Maybe
to
you should be. I mean, it's true.
Help me
If you
feel
start
normal.
trusting, if you start trusting those things, you'll start seeing a lot more different situations.
I have a guest coming on here in the next couple of weeks that I'm excited to talk to. He has done a lot of extensive research about the 33rd parallel. And there's a lot of weird stuff that has happened on the 33rd Northern Parallel. And I've only heard him on like one other show before. So really looking forward to that one because I think it'll be interesting when people hear all the stuff that he's managed to find out about it, at least from his own research. There's a lot of different things that when you mention like the numerology or whatever, I was trying to think, I was like, well, 17, 33. I was like, no, it was like 17, said that's 34. I was like, that's still pretty close.
Yeah.
So
I've had a theory that there are two companion facilities to the HARP facility, one called SMAC and one called Hammer. And I suspect one of them should be located in the American Southwest along the 33rd parallel. So if you could ask an expert about that, I'd be very curious. I'll tune in to find out.
Well, I know just the bits and pieces, like Dallas lies along that, and the whole Kennedy assassination was in Dallas.
This is in the 117 minute.
And then where we dropped the bombs in Japan just so happened to be in that parallel. Like all sorts of these events, like stuff in the Middle East that's going on is on that parallel.
Foundation
It's
Federal
strange.
Reserve on Jekyll Island.
Yeah.
Shout out to
If
the
you look
South
up,
again.
if you look up that 33rd parallel, you'll see where kind of even the outskirts of Skinwalker Ranch is right on the 33rd parallel, 34 parallel lines. So a lot of weird activity that runs through there. I'm pretty sure Hollywood's in the 33rd too.
So nothing good comes from that number is what you're saying.
At least
Atlanta
not in
looks
that
like it's
fault
more
line.
But the 17 one is different, but like 33rd, third, that's a whole different ball game,
But like I said, I have that scheduled here for in a couple weeks. He's going to come on here, and so anyone listening to this, because it'll most likely, my plan is to drop this tomorrow out for all the actual listeners. So be on the lookout for that.
Another 33 for you, KKK 111111.
Dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun.
Bum, bum, bum.
I was trying to think of
I have a list here.
the 33rd president was, I think, the one when they started founding the CIA and some of the other stuff too.
Uh-oh. Don't say those letters.
Yeah. Oh well, I'm already on their friggin' watch list anyways.
Would you like to hear some notable 33rd parallel facts?
Sure.
We got LaGrange, Georgia, and Louisville, Georgia, Dallas, Fort Worth, Carolina, Solana Beach. It does come through Alabama. It's just south where I went to college. It went through that city.
So don't
That's
forget the ritual
creepy.
sacrifice in Dallas.
Nagasaki. There's that one. China. Just too damn big. India goes. It passes just south of Baghdad. Goes through Jordan, Syria. It goes through everything. Goes through Israel. All right, that's creepy. It's also the border of Arkansas and Louisiana. It's like the lace of the boot.
And they don't get along, so.
Yeah.
What about Texas?
It goes through Texas.
It goes through Dallas and everything.
They're their own thing.
It goes through Dallas, Fort Worth.
What about Hollywood?
And, yeah, it goes all the way to Southern California.
Yeah.
Just north of it's Solana Beach. It doesn't go through Hollywood. It's really close though. I mean, it's right northern tip of St. Clemente Island. I think the Nagasaki one's kind of crazy. It goes through Hollywood and Nagasaki.
Does it go through Hawaii?
United States, no Hawaii. South
wondering.
Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California.
Somebody just sent me. Sorry, guys. Sorry, interrupted you.
Sorry.
How dare you?
Oh, I got a little inside information on that directed energy theory from Hawaii.
Mm-hmm. Maui?
My jaw kind of dropped when I heard people walking around going, why is everything blue left? Because I wasn't buying into anything right off the bat, but I work with inks and something called an analox, and we use a high-powered laser that burns the ink out of it, and the one color that the laser can't burn is blue.
Blue.
And your average person doesn't work with incinerating lasers, so I don't think they knew that.
I've heard that too. There was people painting their roofs and stuff blue before the fires ever started.
What about the Southern tradition that blue paint repels the evil spirits? I don't know if it's related or not.
Whoa.
Yeah. there's a lot of different rabbit holes when it comes to that stuff out there, because I get mad when you see Oprah and The Rock and all these other like rich billionaire people. Please help us, send money. Like, why don't you send some of your own money?
Why don't
you have a hell of a lot more than all of us combined?
Right. Just star in one of your shitty movies and you just make it back. My friend just sent this to me. I wonder if you could see it. I mean, I'll read it off, but if you can't see it. Oh, I guess you can't.
See it.
That sucks so bad. The Francis Scott Key Bridge stood for 17,170 days.
That's freaky. I don't like that at all. This is getting weird.
Now you're going to see it, and you're going to unsee it. But it's not a bad thing. I don't know why. It's not like, the other numbers you hear about.
17's not my number, but 7's in a couple of my numbers.
If you, and this is, I don't want to jump into the whole political drainage, but that is also the 17th letter is Q. I think a lot of people use that as a influence for their own agendas. But
Q is the real news. That's where I get my news in.
I laugh because there's a countdown.
Oh, that thing.
There's a website and it's literally always a countdown and says, I just got a notification a while ago because I, for some reason, I get notifications about it because I looked at it on Twitter. So Twitter now thinks I need to know about it. So every time it makes a post, I get an email sent to me with a notification that this official Q page is updated. And it's always another countdown. The end is here. And it's got like a 5-day countdown. And then the next thing will post up, it's happening. Another countdown. Like it's been countdown for how many months now? Like 6?
Something like that.
I was like, this is literally just a countdown clock website. And people keep going to it and they always comment under it. Finally, people are starting to trash on it, saying like, this is pointless. It's stupid. Nothing's happening.
I can't with conspiracy theories anymore.
Right.
I used to love them before COVID.
Aside from the weird shit, like
don't say that word.
That number is just showing up on like news, the regular old news feed.
You can't say that C word. It literally will get your videos taken down.
Yeah, it became a little too real.
What's the C word?
It did.
The beast.
The beer virus.
Oh yeah.
The beer virus.
Ooh, good times. It's funny how you go through like Facebook, like your memories and all the dumb shit I posted during that, and how I just make it I didn't make fun of it necessarily, but I just like, this is dumb, because I was an essential worker because I had to go
the
whole thing, which was great because everybody else shut down, so I got that cool like cop pass. I should have like framed it.
Mm-hmm.
Who wasn't considered an essential worker? Because
I still have mine. I still have mine in my backpack for work.
Nice.
I was essential. I never got to sit at home and collect money. I had to go to fucking work.
Pretty much
I
everything.
always called it the Modelo Malaria and the Tecate two-step.
Some weird, it's weird. It's when you look back on it, it's some weird times. Apparently, we're back to normal again, but I feel like
What is normal?
I don't know what normal is, but I feel like people are still being jerks to each other, and like you would think like then you'd kind of be grateful and gracious to everybody around you, but like we went back to our old sorry ways. Like some lesson.
I saw this on Twitter, or not Twitter, Reddit, another cesspool in general, but I saw this on Reddit a while back, and it was actually compelling enough that made me read the whole thing. In 2012, something catastrophic actually happened, and we do not realize it yet. We're all still in, because if you look at 2012, remember that was supposed to be like the end of the world for the Mayan calendar. All this other bullshit was supposed to happen in 2012. Nothing happened. Well, this theory that someone wrote out, something did happen. And all of us, all of our energies, all of our spirits, souls, we're still going on in life. We don't realize that we're still trapped here. And that's why everything's getting bad, because we're in those trials and tribulation eras. So everything's just going to continue to get worse and worse and worse because we're trapped in purgatory. I was like,
the cycle goes on in every life.
Yeah, we're just trapped in, like you just said, the cycle. Like we're still going on, but our world actually ended, but we're still here living, and everything's just going to continue to get weirder and weirder and weirder because they blame that for happening. Because if you look from that 2012 and how weird life has gotten since then.
Yeah. The only thing holding it together was our and I don't think it's just 2012, but there are these moments in history, these touch points, and the only thing holding it together sometimes is our shared consensus reality. And would isolate us all in our houses for a couple of years, and our shared consensus reality is breaking down. To your point earlier, why are people suddenly seeing all these things?
Remember Randonaught during that time?
Yeah, well,
you ever get on that sucker? That was fun. I used to love randonauting. One time I did a randonaut. It took me to in the woods. It took me to a turtle.
Oh, that's that little owl looking thing, right?
Yeah, it would always take me to weird stuff.
I still think I have the app, honestly, but I've never used it. The one time I tried to use it, it literally tried taking me to someone's backyard. So I was like, well, I'm not getting arrested today.
Yeah, it does.
Shout out to Chris.
First time I used it.
She was a massage therapist. Sorry.
Yeah.
Reading the questions there, answers.
Now she's a clerk.
She's a clerk. Yeah, I don't think you could be a massage therapist during the C word because you're not allowed to touch anybody. So yeah.
By C word, you don't mean that C word. You mean the other bad C word.
Right. I guess two of them show up.
Yeah. There's the very rude, derogatory woman comment C word, and then there is the medical misinformation C word.
Yeah.
They get you flagged for dropping it for some reason.
But like the 2012 thing, like it happened, but I don't feel any different. Like, like a bit of personal thing. Like I had like testicular cancer in like 2011 or something like that. So like anything after that, I was okay with because I lived, like, but like to me, nothing changed. I was just like, I survived that. That's cool. But I don't know. I feel like personally, I didn't feel anything different happened during that. And one might argue, yeah, things are crazy, but I'm like, shit's always been crazy. But lately it's been crazier. So I don't know.
Like we've gotten worse as a society to each other.
I think we've always been that way. Maybe we're just more aware of it because of like social media.
Yeah, I think social media is expanding a ton of it.
In 2012, in my personal life, I think a lot of people that I would consider almost saintly left, and I consider it kind of a rapture year. Just think about it in y'all's personal lives. I mean, where have all the saintly people gone? I don't think we have. Everyone here now are people that still need work.
Saintly as in like sanely or saintly?
saintly. The people that are just incredibly
Like
good.
good people. I
I
always
mean,
try and consider myself a good person, but
I still have some really good friends in my life, like considering, unless you met strangers. But once in a while you meet, I don't know. I guess I have to think about that actually. Huh.
I mean, people with like no worldly attachments. I knew several, and I don't know any anymore.
Hmm.
I don't know if I knew any of those people.
Right.
Yeah, maybe I'm just not thinking about them. Like Gandhi?
Yeah, people like that. People who just like eschew all kind of physical attachments, don't even own hardly anything, just float through it. Now that you don't necessarily have to be like that to be a spiritual person, but it's kind of obvious when a person reaches a certain level that they don't care about anything here.
I've never met anybody like that ever in my life, I believe, unless they're just doing drugs and just get everything away. But
Yeah.
that's totally
I'm
different.
very fortunate.
Like that hippie that Buzz Aldrin punched. He was pretty seemly.
I still
feel like
can't figure out why he. What was the hippie doing? I've never seen.
He was telling him he's telling the moon landing was fake.
I have to look this up.
Hasn't there been videos of Buzz Aldrin though talking about how they saw some stuff when they were up there?
Yeah, or the separate channel where they were talking about that they can see them beyond the ridge kind of thing.
Yeah, they talked about something, and then I swear he has had an interview where he said that they could see something following them as they were flying. Like there was something like stalking their ship off in the distance.
Yeah, like beyond the ridge, you can see them. Something like
they
that.
tried to say he was drunk during that, and as for the transmission they picked up, they tried to say ham radio operators faked that in the 60s. Really? Did they faked that?
As far as I don't know where to go. Like, I don't feel like we actually went to the moon, but then when you hear stuff like that, we're like, did they go there and something happened? And they're like, oh shit, we can't go back to the moon.
But they went back like 10 more times.
So they claim. And then back in the 80s, every kid wanted to be an astronaut. So what did we do? We made everyone watch the space shuttle explode, and every kid was terrified and didn't want to be an astronaut anymore.
And that stupid space shuttle.
I remember that. Well, we all do because
less in space.
We all had to watch it just like 9/11.
Everybody had to. Like everybody knew about it. Like, kids, we're gonna watch this today. And like I wasn't interested until it blew up, and then I'm like, is this real? I mean, I don't remember laughing as a kid, but I'm just like, that is pretty much embedded in your brain watching it explode.
I was about 2, so I don't really remember it.
I'm old, but yeah.
Yeah, but I remember hearing about it in school a lot.
But yeah, it was I wasn't traumatized. I thought that was kind of cool as a kid, but like obviously you didn't hear enough of it until, I mean, that's all you heard, you know. And I remember that poofy haired teacher and her like 80s haircut, you know, like she
that
died.
was the big deal of why everyone had to watch it, because they had a teacher going to space.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess.
I know you heard this, but how they didn't die till they hit the water.
Yeah.
They died on impact, not an explosion. That shit's wild. It's my favorite fun fact.
And she has the name of a song. It's just all very weird.
And they have twins that are still alive.
Oh yeah, the older twins.
I think that one of the previous episodes that just came out, they'd mentioned how when the shuttle had crashed, everything was burned up except for one picture to ID the guy that was on there. That was conveniently not burned up. It didn't burn up with the rest of the stuff when they crashed. I was like, it's almost like the
Don't say it.
You know where I'm going.
The Big Apple burn.
The passports from when things like exploded and fell down, and like they found passports that didn't on top of the debris of people that were flying things. I was like, that's awful convenient, but you know,
right? That's a whole rabbit hole I'll never figure
that's
out.
a whole look at this video's getting taken down.
I know my favorite one on YouTube got taken down, and I could show you where they screwed up, but it got taken down. I'm like, damn it. This is one of the most famous videos of all time of it. And
there's been a lot of scrubbing of the internet, especially when it comes to YouTube.
I know, right? Weird. They'll shove ads up your ass, but they'll just take all the good shit down.
think that's the reason they're trying to ban TikTok, because everybody gets their real stuff from there.
I 100% agree with that. I don't even use TikTok because I don't like shaking my butt, but you know.
After a couple of weeks of using it, you never see that stuff anymore. The algorithm kind of takes it away.
I don't know anything about it. I posted one video from the first live stream that I did, and it had like 5 views, and I was like, well, this sucks. Never used it again.
The only thing that bothers me about it, I don't know, maybe it's just me, like watching a video of someone else watching a video. And let's say this is the video, and there's somebody talking on there, and then they got the guy pointing at it like I don't need your reaction to it. I just want to watch this thing. I don't know. Is that weird? I don't know. Sorry.
And they start shaking their head. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, I don't care about you. I want to see the actual video. I don't know. I find that weird.
So
sorry.
I recently made a different Facebook account just so I could help promote this podcast. And I keep getting ads after ads. I have like almost 1,400 friends now. I was like, I can guarantee you 99% of these people have never heard of me or the podcast before. Why do I keep getting all these friend requests? And majority of these people I don't think are real. So I have to scroll through and see if they're real or not. And I look for tales, and most of them, if they're asking for cash apps or if they're having like weight loss things constantly being tagged in, I don't accept any of those. But now I'm starting to not accept the ones that literally have a post every 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like those can't be real people because they're literally just posting.
Yeah, they got like a bot going on.
It's also really creepy to add somebody they don't really know. Like, I don't do that, I don't think. I mean, I guess in band relations, some people just add people just to promote their band. But like, you know, your podcast and you're getting friend requests, like, and if you don't think they watch you know who the hell they are, I think that's kind of weird anyway to add.
I feel like because I had that episode, the Jesus episode recently, I've been getting a lot of recommendations from like Christian groups because all of a sudden I've been getting a big wave of people posting Jesus saves like stuff constantly. I was like, I think the algorithm literally thinks because it sees what I post, so it thinks these people are going to be interested in what I posted. So now they're suggesting that group. I was like, I'm not promoting Christianity.
Right.
And then now I've been getting a lot of left and right people. I go through, if all of your posts are 100% talking crap about one side or the other, you've already lost. Like at this point, it's like, I'm not going to accept you're probably not even a real person. You're here to continue to divide and disrupt because you're just promoting every 5 seconds more hatred.
Like a Russian bot.
Yeah, it's like, it's ridiculous. Like, this one over here is for Agent Orange and how great he is, blah, blah, blah. And this one over here is for Creepy Joe, how great he is, blah, blah. Like, and they're literally just constantly, you see the comments on there, people are arguing with each other. Like, this is like the friggin' nut house. Why do I want to be a friend with this and see it? So I just don't even accept it. But I didn't realize making a new account because my old account, I didn't really get any ads. I might get a person here or there, but I was like, that's fine. But I didn't want my personal life always just out there for anyone to creep around and look into it. So I was like, I'm just going to make a separate one, make it strictly for this, go about my business. And I've got a lot of interviews set up from it already. Obviously, Crystal was recommended. She's on here watching tonight.
She's real, right?
That.
She's real.
Crystal's
as far as I know, if she's a bot, she's a really cool bot because she's interactive.
Crystal, if you're not a bot, you have to subscribe to my channel too. That's proof that's the captcha. Proof you're not a robot.
Basically, it's weird because no matter what you do, everyone is being like, I keep getting ads like if a 10th of these people would go and listen to an episode, subscribe to my channel. My goal was to break into the top 1% at some point this year. Like, that is my goal. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but like, that's my goal. I was like, if I got all these thousands of friends that I have no idea who they are or how they even know me, but Facebook keeps suggesting me to people.
Mm-hmm.
Go listen to my podcast. Go subscribe to my podcast. Listen to an episode. You might enjoy it. If you hate it, that's cool too. I don't care. Like, it is what it is. But why is Facebook promoting? I've kind of cracked the algorithm. Like, if you don't post anything that's not leaving Facebook, or if it's a topic, if you write it vaguely enough that is like what they think people are going to want to see, they share to make it more visible. But the moment you post something like, "Oh, come watch this live stream on YouTube," they're like, "Oh, fuck that guy. He's trying to make him leave
they'll shut down
Facebook."
the YouTube link.
Yeah.
Quick.
So I don't know. That's my thing. I thought about making a tinfoil hat and just wearing it tonight, so kind of felt special, but I didn't want to do that.
Should.
What was that algorithm cracking? What was that tip for everybody listening?
Post something that seems relevant to what's currently going on, but don't write a whole lot. You got to keep it under so many characters. Like, one of my latest statuses was I was going live tonight, but I didn't say live stream. I just said episode of Tinfoil Tales After Dark goes live tonight. I didn't say a time or place or anything about it. A lot of people liked it. A lot of people didn't come on here and watch it, but a lot of people liked it. And one of the posts I had about finding guests or whatever, it's got like over 100 something comments. It's craziness. Like, I don't know what it, like, if you're, and I posted something up about not knowing these people, if they're real or not, that thing blew up too. Like, certain posts have been going good, but then when I try to promote my episode, like, hey, a new episode's out, nothing.
Forget about it.
Yeah. So if you post something like just like a post without trying to promote something, it seems to get more visibility than it does when you're trying to promote your stuff. So you got to be sneaky about it to beat the AI algorithms.
Yeah, they don't want to see you promoting your stuff. Heaven forbid.
They want you on the fake book. It's all about the metaverse.
Metaverse.
I just want my brain implant already. Just speed it up. Where's my Neuralink?
I just
I
want my
saw
flying
someone just
car.
got one. Back to the Future lied.
Yeah, a bunch of liars.
Hoverboard, 3D Jaws. Where's it at?
Yeah. Well, AI is technically the 3D Jaws in a way.
Yeah, I think the V that they were trying to give everybody as base layer upgrade, installing the new platform. I think for once there was actually something that some people could attribute as a positive intention, but what it certainly wasn't trying to do was beat that C word.
Yeah. I don't know.
The V. I didn't know what you were talking about for a second. That's what you're talking about.
The V and the C and the...
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew what he meant. Those are the no words.
The vasectomy.
Yes.
Yes.
And the castration.
Oh man, I remember those times because it was. I'm trying to remember at one point when it got worse that it started like shutting things down on you. I feel like it might have been the first year, maybe a little bit after, when it was doing a lot more like
2020.
Right, but like I'm talking about like the censorship of it. It could have been a few more months after, maybe the next year, where it's just like you even mentioned it, just this is false information, blah blah blah.
I know
everything in advance. That great adpocalypse they called it on YouTube when that happened, like September, October of 19. You know, it's everything's in it planned.
They, to my knowledge, I never got implanted, but that's me. I don't know.
Me neither.
They did shove something up my nostril, so they probably poked my brain or whatever. So.
Yeah.
The longest cotton swab I've ever seen.
It really
free
is.
government. I called them the free government tampons. Nose tampons.
Yeah, they're awful. Both nostrils got jabbed. Like, Jesus, are you poking my brain? Like, what the fuck is going on?
Like Total Recall, or he's like, it's like Total Recall with that thing in his nose.
Die. It's the same thing with the Matrix when they shoved that thing in his belly. I got it. And went, psst, pulled it out.
Yeah.
Sometimes life imitates art and art imitates life. And sometimes we all just need to understand that we're all on a stage and that we're just here for shits and giggles, I guess, for somebody's entertainment.
There's probably some grays watching us like the Truman Show right now.
I mean, like, you
South
know,
Park
like,
was right when Earth was a reality show.
Yeah. Show me what you got.
that movie was definitely different, though. The Truman Show, like, the concept of it was pretty interesting. Like, oh my God, like, they just make it a fake world for this guy. And he's living in, like, a movie set and he doesn't know.
Don't watch movies like The Truman Show and Fight Club and Office Space. It'll ruin your whole week.
People use The Truman Show as a means of explaining flat Earth. I've seen it. Like,
or that too. I mean, that's what. Yeah,
they claim that show was a flat earthers show without being a flat earthers show because they all live in a dome. It's a controlled environment and everything is staged. I was like, well, I guess if you go down that rabbit hole, then sure, makes sense.
Or Plato's The Cave or anything. I mean, it's all the same thing, which is a really good thing for us to learn. We're just doing it all over again.
Mm-hmm. I actually had a conversation about what you just said, the Plato's Cave, with someone at the UFO meeting I had last week. Very intelligent guy. And he was explaining the different dimensions or whatever, basically like the cases and how we're all trying to get out of this cave. And the one thing that stood out the most, and he was an older gentleman, but he mentioned that basically we're here in the third dimension and the aliens from the fourth dimension are fucking with us. His exact words. I was like, okay. But he broke it all down and said you basically, and I don't know how to articulate the way he did, but basically you see puppets and you see like the puppet masters or whatever, but basically from our point of view, you don't see the person holding the puppet in our reality because the puppet master's in a different reality. They're in a different dimension. So we only see the puppets going on in life. We don't see the string pullers. So.
And I always thought there had to be a direct intelligence related to the thing. Your dog man story was the thing that made, because that thing didn't seem very smart. It makes me really think that, that really opened my eyes to the fact that the intelligence and the puppet might be separate.
Yeah. Like I don't buy into the whole dog man thing in general. Like I do. It's weird because I saw something weird, but I don't necessarily say it was dog man. I've always said it was an upright walking canine.
Yeah.
So
that's fair. Scientific. Accurate.
Yeah. Like possibly. But basically, I don't know how to articulate it into like, it's not rambling on, but when you see something that you can't explain, your mind tries to make up things to rationalize it or whatever. And I've always tried to come up with the most explainable version of what it could have been. And to me, it did not look like the stereotypical werewolf that you would see with hands and feet. And so it literally just was like a normal animal. But for some reason, I've never seen one walk like that. Like it didn't
like a German Shepherd on its hind legs kind of thing?
Basically, yes, like a black wolf. But you've seen dogs walk like this. Like they hop around on their back legs. This thing's arms dropped to its sides like a person. And it was just standing there staring at me. And it started to kneel down. And it walked off. But it was like in a crouch position. Like, a dog can't do that. Their bodies aren't made to do that.
Nope.
So, what was it? Oh, you saw a dog man. I was like, what the hell is a dog man? There's nothing genetically possible for a dog man. So, I don't know.
There's a possibility there's something out there making these chimeras and we don't ever find them because there's only one of them and they don't breed with anything. They're just a one-off. That's a possibility.
There's a lot of different sightings, though, for just being one creature. That's my only thing. Like when people talk, even when people say Bigfoot exists, well, if Bigfoot are real flesh and blood, and there has to be a breeding population. Well, at some point, if there's a breeding population, they're going to get all inbred because there's not very many of them because you don't have that many reports of them. So if you go into that realm of science, Bigfoot shouldn't exist at this point. They'd be extinct or damn near extinct
Mhm.
because there's not that
Insane
many
population.
of them. Yeah. At some point, they've interbred with each other to where it doesn't make any sense. But then you go back to evolution. If you believe in evolution, we've all evolved from certain things, or weren't they all inbreds at some point too? If you believe in the Bible, we all came from the same thing, Adam and Eve. Well, Adam and Eve had 2 boys. Well, one of the boys killed the other one. And then like it just goes like, where did it stop at? At some point, if you believe in any of that, we're all inbreds in the first place. Like, so I don't know how, what came first, the chicken or the egg?
The chicken.
So, but weren't
I
the
don't know.
chickens
You ever
from eggs?
look into the Montauk Island experiments and all the
Mhm.
Yeah.
hybrids and weird stuff they're supposed to have made up there?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's a
Many
lot of
times.
weird
Been at it
stuff.
for thousands of years. I don't know.
Yeah. My thing when it comes back to dogmen, though, is there have been at least reports of them throughout history.
Been a lot of them.
You've had Anubis, which was supposedly an upright walking god, canine, dog-headed man thing, wolf, man, jackal, whatever you want to call it, for ancient Egypt. And then you had berserkers or whatever they were called with the Vikings. They were basically like wolf men type things. And then you had your large upright walking canines, and your like throughout Eastern European civilizations had their tales of them. And then I think France at some point had the werewolf trials where they were burning people for being werewolves. Here you have dogmen, Native Americans, like certain aspects to them have their own stories of different weird canine type things. So it's all been around here. But what if they're all the same thing? Well, what are people seeing? Same thing with Sasquatch. When you start looking into stuff like this, there's been reports of these type of things all over the world. Ancient tribes have had the same depictions. Like the Native Americans all had the hairy man depictions and different names for them. Like they're seeing something. People are seeing something. Not everyone's crazy. I mean, I might be crazy, but I still saw something. Like, I don't know what it was, but
So did you have a
It
paradigm shift after you saw it, or like quasi nervous breakdown?
no, I went on about life, and I just said it was a normal dog playing with a mouse.
Oh, you did.
I also
Because-
believe that human beings have the ability to morph themselves to some extent, but not like in a when the moon turns them, but more over a period of time, basically like a sell your soul to the devil sort of thing. I previously had experience with the vampire werewolf phenomenon idea, and I fully believe that you can sell your soul, twist yourself, have unnaturally long life, and become a distorted version of what a human once was. So who knows how many distorted versions there are out there?
Mm-hmm.
The
I
movie
feel like-
Twitch. What was that movie? The dude changed into something. Switch.
I'm not familiar.
I don't know. There you go. M. Night Shyamalan.
I think
Sequel
what
to
you're
Break-
talking-
Split? Is it Split?
Yeah,
Split.
Split. Yeah, sequel to Unbreakable.
Oh,
Yeah.
like when he, yeah, that was a weird
Yeah.
kind of
Split.
that whole the end. I'm like, what?
M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong.
Well, was he
Not
a
to be confused with
creature
Timothy.
or
Timothy
a very
Chalamet Ding Dong.
steroided person?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It was weird.
I don't really know much. I always saw it in the theater when it first came out and never seen it again. But like, didn't he climb up the wall?
Yeah, he did all. He,
Changed
had,
into
like,
Spider-Man.
something
superhuman-
new.
he turned
That
had
was weird.
superhuman powers. I'm like, what the hell?
I never
When
saw the
Samuel L.
second
Jackson came
one,
along.
or the Glass or whatever.
Yeah.
I never watched that one.
Unbreakable was great. It did not need a sequel. It was perfect. It was a perfect one-off sci-fi. It's the best kind of movie there is. Couldn't leave well enough alone.
I liked Signs. I thought that was decent.
Signs is up there with those movies we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Interstellar, Signs. I'll take those all
maybe
day.
I'm not getting it.
You don't know those movies?
Maybe Signs is going over my head. If you're saying it's up there with the others, maybe I need to give it a rewatch.
You
Oh.
do. Signs is elite.
I thought it was
wow.
a good movie in the sense of what it was. The ending is kind of dumb, but I mean,
I
that was
remember
the
watching
last.
in the theater.
That's like one of the last good M. Night movies to me was Signs. Like the other ones after that weren't that great.
No, you didn't like The Village?
Hot
No.
take on M. Night Shyamalan. Nothing he does is awful, but your expectations were so far up that it makes it that way. I every one of his movies is worth a watch.
Right.
But you're at the end, you're just like, what was that? But there are a lot worse movies than stuff he makes.
I
Remember that one Lady in the Water?
Yeah.
That was a weird one too. I didn't think it was bad, but it was very weird.
Yeah. They all have their place.
I was disappointed with The Village, the ending.
Yeah. But it's also a twist.
Right, but that when he fell into the pit and he's like, ah! I don't know what he screamed. It made me laugh. I don't know why that was funny.
Wasn't that Joaquin Phoenix though?
Joaquin was the main person, but the one that fell in there was Adrian Brody.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he was a special kid.
Right.
Mm-hmm. No, once the whole ending of the movie, I'm sorry to ruin it for anyone listening, but
anyone from 2004 that hasn't seen it,
they should have been watched.
It's been 20 years at this point. Like it's set in modern times, and when I found that out, I was like, really, this is freaking dumb. And then find out about the creatures weren't real. I was like, well, this is stupid.
It was a cool twist, though. You gotta admit,
it was a crazy twist. I'm like,
it was a crazy twist for just the sake of having a crazy twist.
You know why you were mad is because of the trailers for it.
I was mad that the monsters weren't real.
Yeah, because of the trailers are just like, what is that?
It's
I'm a
Cat's
monster
Cradle
fan.
Again. If y'all haven't read that, that's a great book.
What is it?
Cat's Cradle.
I'm actually
Kurt Vonnegut
illiterate.
Jr. Yeah, that's a brilliant book where the guy, where these two guys spoiler alert, two guys end up on an island, and one sets up a head of the government and bans the religion. One heads up the religion and bans the government, and they keep perpetual power over the island that way.
Huh. I'm sure that'll be a movie. I'm surprised The Rock ain't in it. That would make a good movie. I'm surprised because pretty much every movie nowadays was a book because nobody can think of a script by themselves.
But then they don't use the book correctly. The movies are not as good as the book.
No,
they just World War Z it and just pretend that the book doesn't exist just to cover.
Yeah.
If they ever make a movie, they'll call it Ice 9, and it'll look like one of those apocalyptic movies from the early 2000s with ice sheets and BS.
Yeah.
Well, we've been getting to that 2-hour mark, so I think we could probably wrap this up. I know there's still a few people watching, so I want to say I appreciate you guys for sticking around, listening to babbling.
Yeah.
But before we go, there's a couple things I want to talk about. Ed and I are going to be doing a podcast exclusively on the Patreon called Crinkled Conspiracies. And
Crinkle.
People crinkle. Well, you have Tinfoil Tales, and what does tinfoil do? It crinkles. So
yes.
It makes sense in that aspect. I've not talked about this publicly yet, so everyone listening, you're now encouraged more to go to the Patreon because we're going to start recording exclusive episodes on there for only $1.99 a month. So here's my sales pitch. Less than $2. You can't even go buy a drink at the gas station anymore for less than $2.
Right.
So you can go and help get ad-free content and all that other good stuff and exclusive stuff like Crinkled Conspiracies, which we will not have to worry about the things we talk about getting pulled down because it is on Patreon. And we're going to dive into some stuff that we can't always just talk about.
Do you need a guest? I would love to get in on that.
I have not thought about bringing on guests, but it is a possibility. I'm not doing exclusive episodes. Like, I'm not doing episodes where I interview guests and then just put them on, like some people do, members only stuff. I think that's a kind of a shitty thing to do, especially when you have a guest coming on.
Yeah.
Like, sorry out there, the guy's making bunches of money, but I'm not about the money. It's just, if I wanted money, I'd ask for more than $1.99 a month, because after they take their cut, I basically get jack shit for it. I mean, it's not, I don't do this for money. But basically, I don't feel it's right to have guests come on there and hide their episode behind a paywall. So that might burn bridges with people, but that's my own personal opinions. There is
It
a
would
lot
be
of
kind of like holding them ransom.
yeah. There's a lot of gatekeeping I found out in this podcasting community, and some of these other people want to be. It's almost like band stuff. Ed and I can relate to that. There's a lot of gatekeeping when it comes to certain aspects. When you play music, there's a lot of gatekeeping when you do podcasting. There's a lot of gatekeeping everywhere. So it's just a fact of life. I do my own thing.
Even in the car.
Yeah.
When I had that Camaro and I'd go to car meets, that shit. Yeah. Wow. Anyway.
Everywhere you go, someone thinks they have to be better than the next person.
Right.
I just do my own stuff. But no, if you want to get on some crinkle conspiracies and drop the cuffs and shoot some shit, I'm sure we can get that arranged. We're not going to do very long episodes, though. I figured we'd try and do like 30-minute episodes here and there, kind of keep up on like a current events type thing. Almost maybe like a weekly event wrap up, release them on like a Sunday night. Here's your weekly news from Crinkle
I thought about doing like a talk show, Tonight Show esque format like that. This week Beyond the Veil.
Yeah.
Something stupid like that.
This week in the weird shit.
Yeah.
Like this week's episode.
Sorry.
I would say this week's episode we'd dive into the whole Baltimore thing.
Oh yeah.
But
So are these
what were you gonna say?
Are these two on your show? I'm pointing at both their guests. Have they been on
No.
the show? Oh, they
Not
just
yet.
showed up.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I
They
bet you since Jesse's from Indiana, I wanted to hear more of his stuff. I thought he was gonna be on your show.
We can actually have a set up where Jesse can have his own exclusive episode.
Oh,
I just asked for him to hop on here tonight because
okay.
when I was trying to get
Come
things
on
scheduled,
anytime.
this was as soon as I could get him on here because I'd already had things scheduled out. I was like, if you want to
Uh.
hop on the live session, we can, but these live sessions aren't set up to be like normal episodes like I thought they would be. It's more or less kind of a free fall or free for all.
See, I started doing like regular podcasts and recording them and then releasing them. And after a year or so, I started doing lives and I lost the whole nature of what I wanted to do. I ended up just reading comments for an hour and a half. And so now I've stopped doing lives so I could get back to editing and talking to people exclusively one-on-one, cigar smoke in a dark room.
Oh, I don't have to edit anything. I just release it. I don't give a shit.
Well, sometimes I go to the bathroom and it has to be taken out.
No.
Because I always take the camera with me.
Ed and I did another show together called Dark Side of the Scene where we interviewed bands. And that show's pretty much died off because of some of the content that got put out there, which had nothing to do with anything. And we got blackballed from...
Well, we don't know if it was that. We don't really know. It just
the timing was convenient.
maybe. Or it's just like anything. It's like it just dies down. And
It's like the scene it died.
But I still got a few people asking me about it, but
I always
probably
want to
not.
do one about reviewing.
They didn't even
stand-up
promote the
comedy.
fucking episode when they came on there. Like, hey, can we get on your show? But we're never going to promote that we came on there. Okay.
Yeah.
Just like
That's
they don't
kinda
promote their shows they're playing.
Yeah.
But anyways, Bobby, why don't you let everyone know where they can find you at?
Oh yeah, BobbyDizzle.com. I'm the Caffeinated Cryptid. I've got it on the podcast is called the Caffeinated Cryptid Podcast with Bobby Dizzle because it used to be the Bobby Dizzle podcast and the format changed. That's what's happened. That's why it's weird. I'll change it one day, but not now. But I talk a lot of Bigfoot, a lot of aliens, a lot of scientists, a lot of biologists. It's real fun. BobbyDizzle.com. Hit me up.
And Jesse, I know you have your Heartland Harbor homestead. I don't know a whole lot about. I know you got your Facebook page or whatever, but I don't know a whole lot about what it is you do there.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of digital presence right now, just the Facebook page. And my wife has an art store, Sweet Jam Art on Store Envy. She does watercolors. I manage the land mostly. We do jams and jellies and berries and herbs and tinctures and Indian medicine plants, and we don't want to get in any legal trouble. If you got a problem, we'll talk one-on-one and we'll help get you sorted out. And we got camping and
That's the most suave way I've ever heard anybody say that.
And Ed,
just find us on there.
I'm going to follow you.
Ed, you want to let everyone know where they can check you out at? I know
I don't have anything.
you have a band you can plug.
Yeah, but that's totally unrelated, I think.
It's totally unrelated. But
Like, yeah, I don't see how that matters. I'm just a dude.
But no, Ed and I, like I said, we had Dark Side of the Scene. Ed was the first guest that was on episode 1. Then we had a band episode, and now he's going to be on an upcoming episode here in a couple weeks.
Oh yeah, I guess I have been on this. Technically, been on your show in a way.
You're on the conspiracy episode with Bram. We did a little segment.
Yeah, the weather
too.
How the weather's all fucked up now.
Yeah, how everything was on fire back in the
We have
summer.
a very cold March. We have a very cold March, but it could be just because it's Indiana. I don't know.
You've been on this podcast more than anyone, so you're
yeah, it's true. But I have nothing to promote other than that. I'm going to have a big mouth.
You can promote crinkled conspiracies for everyone out there. That's
okay.
That's the new thing.
Yeah, but like Brandon said, we're gonna. If you pay that $1, was it 99? Right,
$1.99.
You'll get to hear me like unfiltered and how I think of certain things and certain conspiracies or topics. Because normally you get banned for saying whatever, and it's not like. And maybe you might be on the same page as me. Maybe you're not. I mean, that's up for debate. It doesn't matter. Maybe you give feedback on this Patreon episodes. That'd be cool if you listen to and pay and then give feedback, because feedback's always good for any show.
There is a free membership too, and I do have some episodes available for free, and they will be ad free. So if anyone hates ads, which I don't really know why everyone gets so mad about hearing a couple of dynamic ads inserted here and there, but for some reason that is a very hot topic with people that hate that. I was like, you can just hit the skip button and it goes away.
Mm-hmm.
But learning things tonight, folks.
Spotify used to have a big problem with ads. It would cut the whole episode off and it'd restart the next one. It was a bug. It was a bug for a while. You'd be listening to a Rogan, it would play an ad, and then if the internet signal wasn't strong enough, it would try to find the next thing to play and play the next episode. So you lose your spot like an hour and a half in.
Like I said, I never really listened to podcasts, so I don't know a whole lot about there's only 3 or 4 podcasts that I ever really listened to, and I still listen to them. But other than
I
that,
love podcasts. Stand-up comedy.
Let everyone out there again know I appreciate you guys. If you enjoyed this, make sure to check out Bobby's website. Make sure to check out Jesse's stuff. Make sure to check out
Jesse.
Yeah, follow Jesse. Make sure to check out Ed's Crinkle Conspiracies with me on the Patreon. And good night, everyone.
Good night.
Peace.
Thank you for having me.